Welcome all, and all welcome. I am your host, Baby Moy, and alongside me I've got Crystal and Big Ness. What's up, guys? How you doing on this Tuesday?
What's up?
What's up, everybody?
All right. How's I don't even know where to start with this one. But as you guys can see the title there, I know you guys aren't strangers to what happened last night on Monday Night Raw. I'm gonna get into that in a couple of minutes here, but before that, will Crystal or you, Ness, do the honors of telling our viewers, our new viewers, how they can follow us and all that other good stuff, if you may.
All right, well, you guys can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. The links are down below. And also subscribe here on YouTube. Thumbs up, like, share, and of course ring that bell to receive all notifications as to what we're doing here. And thank you for joining.
And also,
well said.
Thank you, Sketch, for supporting us. DJSketch, that is. You can follow his channel. The link is down below as well as our SoundCloud accounts if you guys want to listen into either my music or Ness's music. So, and eventually Crystal will have her SoundCloud too, so be on the lookout for that once she starts working on her projects, and we will be letting you guys know. And there's a bunch of other goodies coming your way courtesy of ENT Hooligans. Now,
that's right.
normally, guys, I would be more upbeat. I'd be shouting out to the sun right now and to the moon and back. You guys know that. I'd be playing that delay effect on my mixer, but I'm not doing any of them things. In essence, I wish I was, but there are things that it's not a matter of I feel that I have to cover it. It's more so I want to cover these things. And I guess you could tie it up with I have to cover it too, given the field of work that we're in. As difficult as certain situations might be, it's something that has to be done. So last night, I know it's no secret to a lot of you that I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm detached from WWE and its main roster. I more so watch other podcasters talk about it after Raw or SmackDown have aired, and I pretty much know what's going on because of them. So thank you, JD. Thank you, Fightful. Thank you, Wrestle Talk, and all you other guys that I follow. But needless to say, I flip on Raw, which is something I haven't done in a very, very long time. And I flipped onto it with the mindset of, let me see who makes a fool of themselves. Let me see what dumb idea booking has rolled up for us this time. Roman Reigns, his music hits, walking out to the ring. He doesn't have his vest on. As you guys know, he's part of the Shield, and he usually rocks a vest to the ring. He's wearing casual attire and his little chain as well. And he starts off this speech by basically saying that everything he said is a lie. Stated his name. He said Joe, but we all know Roman Reigns' name is Joseph Anoi. And usually wrestlers will, for the most part, they'll never ever go out of character in regards to airing their real name unless something is absolutely serious. But of course, as veteran as we are, as veteran as I am in watching wrestling, some things do go over your head. Because usually what we're exposed to, especially with WWE, is I mention your name or you mention your name. You're trying to add a dose of reality to set ongoing story. That's usually why wrestlers would either mention their names or their opponents' names to inject that dose of realism to the feud. This was neither. Because after he spoke of how everything he said was a lie in terms of him defending the belt every night on Raw, he then dropped the bomb and said that for 11 years he's been battling leukemia. Forgive me for being a little cynical here. Now, I'm only going to spend but so much time on this because I don't want this to be the focal point of what today's podcast is supposed to be about. I immediately, instinctively thought, man, it could be a work. And can you fault me for thinking that way? Absolutely not. However, you know, I've learned a very valuable lesson last night. And I think it's a lesson that should be applicable to a lot of things in life. And that lesson would be not to assume or automatically jump into a conclusion, not until you have the whole picture in front of you. So I slapped myself inside the head. I said, get out of that mindset. And I continued on listening. I know the audience watching this live, I know they was thrown off. There were a few what chants as well. I heard them. I know you guys heard them. But how they subsided. The air was sucked out of that building. He continued, mentioned how his main priority was to be at home, to be a father to his kids, and to be a loving husband to his wife. As he's standing there talking, I can't help myself but to personally have ties to what he's saying, because I've dealt with illness in my family. I know what it's like to have somebody who's battling a form of cancer. And child, grown up, elderly, however, whichever way you spin it, the end result is the same. It's a sad, treacherous, it's a road that I wouldn't wish even on my greatest of enemy. Needless to say that after Joseph got done with saying what he had to say, was making his exit, and he was greeted by wrestlers and his members of the Shield, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. Seth Rollins, man. I mean, that's a man that he let go. He wasn't ashamed of being in front of the camera and shedding a few tears for a friend. And how oftentimes we forget that these wrestlers, although they appear to be larger than life, they're also human beings like you and I. As I mentioned yesterday in my reactions video, they have families to look after. They have mouths to feed, alongside with taking care of themselves. And as we saw and as we learned yesterday, nobody's exempted. Nobody is immune to anything just because they carry forth a profession, just because they're in a particular field.
Not at all. When it comes to a disease such as cancer, regardless of what kind of cancer it is, it doesn't discriminate at all. As my colleague Mo just mentioned, grown up, child, elderly, man, woman, this disease does not discriminate. And another thing to piggyback on the moment that Joseph Roman Reigns had with his fellow colleagues, his brothers, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins. These guys aren't just colleagues. You know, they travel, they're together practically 200 days out of the year, traveling together and doing shows together and perform. They develop a brotherhood. They're like family. They're like their second family. So what you saw there was a family moment. A moment between brothers.
You know, guys.
Now I only saw.
Go ahead, brother.
I saw the 5-minute clip on the ESPN page where Joseph was announcing that he was battling leukemia again, and like my colleague, I too was a little bit cynical as well. Part of me was a little cynical as well for the first 5-10 seconds. But I wish him well, and hope he's able to come back and do what he loves to do. And wow, you just never want to see anything like this happen to anyone, regardless. To once again reiterate, these guys aren't just larger than life personalities. These are people just like you and I. And this battle is very much real that he's fighting right now. Wow.
You know, there's one part of this equation that really scares me. And again, like I told you guys, having personally seen this within my family, and he mentioned that it was in remission, which obviously means that this thing has come back. When it comes to cancer, when it comes back a second time, it's harder to beat those odds the second time around. Spite of how long this thing has been dormant, it's not an easier road when it comes back, because it's more aggressive than what it once was. And that's the scary part.
Yeah.
There's a lot of uncertainty here. And yes, is Anui right in staying positive and in saying that he's gonna beat this thing? Of course. How else is he supposed to think? But I know that in the back of his mind, he's not ignorant. I know he's scared. I know there's a lot of uncertainties. I know, other than thinking, am I going to be back wrestling again? I know he's thinking, am I going to see tomorrow? Because that's how it is.
And that's what struck me about this the most, was that he's battling this again. I didn't even know he had it the first time. You know, so to hear that he has to battle this thing again, like, wow, it's a scary thing, because as Mo just said, it comes back more aggressive, it comes back more fierce. It takes more of a toll on the body and the mind and everything. It's just terrible. It's just a terrible, terrible disease.
Go ahead, Crystal.
Go.
When I saw this last night, I thought, the first thing that I thought was, that's a lot of courage to come out and tell strangers that you're battling something that no one but God could help you fight. That's incredible.
It truly is.
When I saw that.
It truly is. And part of the reasoning for that, Roman Reigns wanted it that way. And he did it because he also wanted to bring awareness to this disease and to other forms of cancer. And he's essentially, he's definitively doing this with his life. You know, I'm not gonna front here, guys. I used to overreact when it came to people mourning celebs and figures that they've admired, and in my own selfish way and foolish way, I would say, well, why the hell would you do that? You don't even know this person. Shame on me. Shame on me, because being somebody that has watched sports and sports entertainment, I've seen the greatest of the great. I've seen awesome feats of athleticism, and I've also seen terrible tragedy unfold in front of my eyes. A paralyzed Darren Drozdoff, and Owen Hart, who fell to his death. A eulogy for Eddie Guerrero. The sadistic actions of a Chris Benoit. Jerry the King Lawler suffering a heart attack. Many deem professional wrestling as a circus. Many call it fake. But I'm standing here and I'm telling you that this is as real as anything gets. You could call me a fanatic, call me a fanboy all you want. Because if you are, I feel sorry for you. Because that simply means that you don't know how to separate fantasy from real life. This is real life, folks. This is a man who's struggling with his life. And yes, I was one of many who booed this man when he would come out, because we have the choice to do so. But to piggyback off of something that JD, one of the podcasters whom I watched, to piggyback off of something that he said, to kind of paraphrase it for y'all, McMahon spent so much time force-feeding this guy down our throats, wanting us and finding every way to make us cheer for this guy, even at the expense of putting the Shield back together. And what McMahon couldn't do, what the writers couldn't pencil in, God did it better. Because we genuinely cheered this man on yesterday.
Well said.
We cried with him.
Absolutely well said.
And we pray with him. God did it better. Crazy, right? Very crazy.
It just goes to show you that God can do anything that we can't. Or we try to.
Oh, how easy it is.
You know, we try to, but we can't. You know, God can.
How easy it is to sit back and say, well, you don't know these people. What are y'all worried about?
You guys know me personally, and for how long have I been inviting these men and women into my apartment on a consistent basis? Rather it WWF, WWE, WCW, ECW, Ring of Honor, New Japan, Impact. For how long?
Years.
For years.
And within that, you establish a connection with these people. It's just, you know.
Yep.
You know, I've been watching sports for years as well, and I too have seen a lot of I've seen athletes and even commentators tragically pass on. You didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know any of these people personally. I've had a connection with them. Mm-hmm. Whether it was the late great Harry Callis, who used to commentate all the Phillies games, or the late great Stuart Scott.
Yes. Yes.
Who was incredible to watch do SportsCenter highlights.
What a character! I mean, what an inspiration!
Not to mention that great speech he gave during the Jimmy V Awards when he was, you know, oddly enough, a little less than a year before he died. You know, he had just come from countless surgeries and procedures prior to that. He didn't even know if he was going to make it to the event, much less general.
Exactly.
Sean Taylor, I got to watch him before he tragically was murdered. Damn.
I think what makes it so real when it comes to sports entertainment is that factor alone. It's supposed to be sports entertainment. It's not quote unquote supposed to be real. And when we're greeted with the reality of the scope of things, boy, it hits like a brick, like a ton of bricks. I mean, you want to talk about a harsh reality check for some. Yeah. You also mentioned Eddie Guerrero too. Yeah, I mean that was another one that I also watched growing up. Yeah.
I remember going to school that Monday. A classmate of mine said, "Hey, you know Eddie Guerrero died?" I said, "Wait a minute. I just watched him this past Friday on SmackDown. What do you mean?" It just took me aback.
How easy it is to forget, right? I mean, wow.
So whenever I see people mourning celebrities, I get it. I totally get it. I too used to think to myself that same thing, like, well, I don't know, what are you doing that for? You know these people, but I get it. I totally understand.
Yeah.
You have, in a way, you have a connection to these people because you follow their careers, you've invited them into your homes, and you have enjoyed what they do.
How many times are we not wowed by somebody's punching power or somebody's ability to throw a football like Aaron Rodgers or hit home runs or wow you like the Golden State Warriors or like a back in the day Michael Jordan and his squad.
Yeah.
How many times have we not cheered for that person who dives off of a steel cage? And you know what happens oftentimes? We take that for granted.
We do.
That's what happens.
We really do. Yeah.
So,
I mentioned commentators.
Yeah.
And one of the commentators I grew up with, along with Harry Callis, was also the late great Pat Summerall, the voice of Fox NFL Sunday. In the 90s.
The
early
voice.
2000s, he was the voice. He, alongside John Madden, he was the voice.
Not just the voice of, for me, he's the voice.
The voice. I mean, he wasn't overly animated or anything like that. He just had a unique way of bringing you the action.
Yes. And sometimes you don't need to be overly animated.
It's incredible. No, it was enough.
Just the presence alone speaks for itself. Your coordination, your discipline.
Yeah.
But how oftentimes we forget that they're human.
Yeah. I mean, watching Pat Summerall's football life recently, it was like, wow. It was pretty jarring. It was like, wow.
Let me
the things that he was battling over the years, anything of that,
Let me bring you guys back to this point. I've referenced how I'm amongst many who booed the Roman Reigns character. How the landscape changes, how that mindset changes.
Yeah.
Because little did we know that we were booing somebody who was battling this nightmarish disease. Little did we know. And I wouldn't blame anyone if they feel some shred of guilt. But we didn't know. But this comes to show that we never know what someone might be going through. As famous, as rich, as glamorous, as lucrative, as luxurious as their life appears on camera, that's on camera. What their mindset is behind closed doors, what they're battling when the camera is not shining bright, when the lights aren't bright in their face, we don't know.
We never know. Yeah, we never know. And as we said before, these diseases don't discriminate. We discriminate, but these diseases do not.
Nope.
Who knows what Roman might, Annoy might have to go through here? Radiation, chemo, new pigeon shots.
God knows.
I've seen it all, folks. It ain't pretty. It ain't just something that you say, hey, I'm gonna medicate and call it a day.
No, it's more complex than that. It's a little, yeah.
Personally, folks, it's not easy for me to stand here and report on this. It's not easy for me to talk about this, having that personal tie to this disease. And again, I know I speak for on behalf of many other people. Yesterday, honest to myself, and it was really, really difficult to sit through that. And I dare say it was the most difficult thing that I've ever sat through in watching sports entertainment. Yes, I know Eddie Guerrero passed away. Yes, I know Jerry had the heart attack. That was hard enough to witness. But how tragic, how ugly, how the feeling of nauseousness, how ill-conducive this was. You know that ugly feeling you get at the bottom of your stomach, way down to the point where you feel sick? That's what it was yesterday. You know, the story that has been Roman Reigns, he just hasn't been able to truly reach the pinnacle of success. He's won the title 2 or 3 times already, has had short runs with the belt. After he beat Hunter, he had to relinquish the title because of some failed drug test due to substance. So, I mean, and that was his own mess up. I'm not giving him a pass for that, but it just goes together with the tragic story that is. And now he finally beats Brock to become the champion once again. And that was short-lived because of this. So the question is, amongst many other questions, what does God have planned for him?
Maybe he has something better planned.
What is Anoi's calling in life? What is it? Ano? He's that one guy who gets so close, but yet so far. Gets a taste of that rainbow when, like that, it's snatched away from him. It's sad.
Yes, it is. And it's not fair. What he's going through isn't fair.
Yeah, it's just a tragedy for anyone to have to face this horrific disease. But God willing, he's able to pull through. You know, he has one day at a time. It's a grueling process, but one day at a time.
I've oftentimes said you could say what you want about the WWE, but one thing's for sure, they take care of their people.
Yeah, they do.
And I know they're going to have the best doctors for Joseph. I know that God's going to have his hand on this. And we can only hope and pray that he comes out of this.
Yeah.
One thing's for sure. You can rest assured Roman Reigns is a babyface for life.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that at all.
And you know,
none whatsoever.
He's gonna show Leukemia whose yard it is.
Wow. 11 years.
11 years.
11 years.
Yeah.
Man.
11 years and no one had a clue. No one had a clue. We never knew. People in the company ain't know. You know, this all started.
Wow.
This all started with reports that Roman Reigns had missed a couple of house shows during the weekend due to injury. Gosh, how I wish it was an injury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How I wish that were the case. A knee injury sounds like sunshine in comparison.
But now we know why he missed that house show.
Yes. But I wish you the best.
Oh, I'm sorry. Live event.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Oh, did I say house show?
Yeah. Yeah, but you don't have to. You don't have to worry about it though, because you don't work for Vinnie Mac. You work for yourself.
You don't like people like us.
No. No.
He doesn't like our tone.
No.
Not at all. Not at all. But I think we've said everything that we could regarding this. And again, I want to apologize to you guys for not being as upbeat as usual. And
We normally are. Yeah.
But we got to do this sometimes. Any final words,
There's
guys?
one takeaway from all this is that we need to cherish life to the fullest. Each
That's
day,
right.
each moment, each moment.
Yes.
You know, whatever inconveniences that we're facing, don't let them consume you.
Amen to that. So oftentimes we're bombarded with nonsense, and we look at the nonsense and we cave into the nonsense, and we start feeling a certain way because of the nonsense, as opposed to looking at what's real, at what matters, at what is essentially important.
Exactly.
Look around.
Life is too short and too precious to waste energy on nonsense. Yeah, there's gonna be things that annoy us, but they don't have to consume us.
Exactly.
And they shouldn't. They shouldn't consume me. So, folks, enjoy each moment to the best of your abilities.
Amen to
Live,
that.
love, laugh.
Amen
Live and
to
let
that.
live.
Guys, I once again want to take this opportunity to thank you guys for sharing us, for subscribing, for the shout outs. Without you guys, without God in the front seat, we're nothing. So
That's right.
much love, much appreciation to you guys. And let's keep on doing this together, y'all. And as I always say, have a beautiful rest of your day. Remember to tune in tomorrow to Crime Syndicate. And in everything you do, keep God number one in your life.